this little interruption. It's the first time we used this software, so we just wanted to check if we are indeed live or not. So, hi everyone, and welcome. Thank you for being here, for being present in this first webinar. This webinar is a special format because we would like to raise awareness about some essential topics, meaning energy, sustainability, and what's the future. So, with me today, my co founder and partner in crime, Adlan. So, hi, Adlan.
It's me. Hi, everyone, and thanks again for being present. Yeah, so let's go.
Cool. So, I will be like the interviewer today, and I will ask you to introduce yourself.
That sounds a little bit weird since I know you for more than decades, so feels like anything I can say, you might know it. But I'll do it for the guys that are live with us. Um, I am Adlan Denis, and I am a maker at heart. I make things since I was a kid. I was disassembling my toys because I was too curious to know how they work, and that curiosity was harder than playing with the toys themselves. So I was raised by curiosity and building things, and that became second nature. um, I love electronics. I've had a lot of hats, professionally speaking, during my life, and I finally, after a lot of entrepreneurial adventures with Raouf, we stood at Control Energy, and that's what we are doing right now, where I'm the co-founder and CDO.
Cool, cool. And well, about myself, I used to say I'm a full time father, but now I used to have one kid. Now I have two, so I'm doubling the shift. So I'm a double time full time father. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Started early on and never been as you know in an employee position for my entire life. I've been an entrepreneur almost my whole life, building stuff, some success, a lot of failures. Learn me to be factual, and I love to bring this vision from imagining some improvement in human life and get it into reality and see the improvement that my ID has on people. So that was my motive for my entire life. We launched with Adlan Control Energy. In case you want to check, it's control dot energy, so CTRL dot energy. And yeah, so we launched this company 2 years ago. We've been hustling our way to change the energy sector for the best. Now, about Control Energy, I would say that we launched Control Energy with one precise goal: to bring clean, sustainable energy to everyone and everywhere. By that, I mean that bringing clean energy can seem like a big word, but what we want to do is to make it available at the best price and the best conditions for us humans, but also for the planet.
Definitely sharing the same vision as you, since what basically got me into electronics.
Hope so.
Yeah. That what I was saying is that what got me into electronics is the fact that I loved IT. I loved everything that is related to coding, softwares, etc. But the main thing that changed is that when you do electronics, you're doing IT, you're coding stuff, and you're imagining, algorithms and stuff like that. But they become alive. What it means that you push a button in your computer and you can see something moving in the real life. You can see, LEDs lighting, you can see values for sensors and stuff like that. And you know breaking that barrier between the reality and what you do virtually into your computer is definitely um, something that is changing the game. So that's what got me into electronics and into Control Energy.
Cool. And I would like to add The our first product, Lepo, embodies this vision, and it's a hardware indeed, but we took in consideration a lot of parameters to build it differently, use it differently, and have a different faith in the afterlife. Lepo, I won't go deep into Lepo because we will introduce it in an upcoming event, but simply put, it's the battery that you will love to keep for 40 years. It's a reusable, sustainable battery, so easy to use and so valuable for us humans and for the planet. Well, to check it, it's lepo.tech, but I won't say more about Lepo at this point. Now, maybe you have something to add.
Lipo is the future. Go check it.
And yeah, so let's go deep into our today's topic, which is an all electric planet. Is it a possible and feasible future? And moreover, what do we mean by all electric planet? A lot of people think that if we go all EV, having all electric vehicles, okay, we solve the problem. It's all electric planet. But for us, it means more. When being all electric means from end to end, from generation to consumption, having clean and sustainable energy produced efficiently, transported efficiently, and consumed efficiently. And that's not where we are right now. And that's what we are working on. I think Adlan has a very interesting topic regarding the generation and the actual state of art of the grid.
Yes, definitely. So, before that, I would like to shed some light on the background and what led us into this, this energy philosophy. And basically, we've been into batteries and energy for more than 10 years now. And when you work into energy and you supply people with UPS and energy storage systems and backup energies, etc., you are used to how all this is working. I mean, the barrier between the grid and how it's exploited, how it is produced, etc. And you cannot hold yourself from observing that some points of this chain, there's something that is wrong with it. And basically it starts with people. Like in anything else, all the problems comes from the people. But that's not their fault. We are here to fix this. A lot of people were in the global imaginary, and what they think is they do not do any difference between energy production and energy generation and energy storage. Basically, the main energy type we use today in the whole world is electricity. Everything's working with electricity. Today, we also have cars working with electricity, and your fridge, your phone, internet, data centers, TVs, everything's working with electricity. However, when you speak about energy with people, they are talking about, thermal energy. They're talking about, wind energy. They're talking about solar energy, etc. But this is an abuse of language, because all these types are only a way to produce electricity, and all these production types are basically different ways to get heat that is transferred somehow to an electromechanical system that is turning turbines and generating electricity. That electricity is, after that, transferred to houses, to grid, to, sometimes it is just transformed into DC and stored into batteries for backups, etc. But all these types are basically turbine energy.
Mm. Yeah, simply put, the today's electricity is mainly generated, well, from whether it is from fossil fuel or nuclear, etc. But it's not generated for say it, but more transformed. Meaning, we take something, we transform it into electricity via the process that Adlan just explained.
That's exactly what's happening into fuel generators. There's an engine inside that is burning fuel, turning turbines, and generating electricity.
Yeah. So basically, you burn stuff, make heat, create a mechanical reaction, like create motion, and this motion generate electricity, and that's something wrong. But there's something even, stranger, which is the way we are transporting this electricity from the generation to our end users, meaning the grid.
Yep, that's the cables. That's the big problem of cables. And what I mean by big problem is that um, you do not have electricity production facilities in the urban area because you will be first overwhelmed with sound and with strange smells and stuff like that. And you don't want that, when you're just chilling at home, you don't want to be bothered by energy production. So this kind of productions are running outside of cities, and the challenge is to take that energy that is produced outside to the city. But electricity, just like anything else, is replies to all our physics laws, and it loses some kinds of its power when it's transported, because once again, against the global imaginary, the electricity doesn't travel inside the cables, it travels around the cables. That's some kind of technical details, but when it travels in the cables, there's reactive power that is produced because it's alternating, and that reactive power is basically useless. And for that, we use um, we use transformers to push that electricity again at its full power to get it at your house. And to push it again, we use energy. So to transport electricity from the facility to your house, we use electricity. And that is some kind of also power loss.
Yeah, so I like to use this analogy of transporting electricity from the generation to your house. Looks like you need water, so you have a water tank. But to take the water from the water tank to your house, you will use a weird process of freezing the water into ice, then melting the ice into water again and again and again. And at the end, it's normal that the water that you get is less than the water that you had initially from the tank. And it's pretty much the same thing in transporting energy, where you have line loss and conversion loss, in addition to the cost of deploying miles and miles and miles of cables, maintaining them, maintaining all the equipment, etc. So at the end, you are paying for some energy that you are not using. And the solution to that can be, and for sure will be, microgrids. And what's your intake on microgrids, nanogrids, and all these fancy words?
Well, just considering all the energy you have to sacrifice to power a city, just imagine what it takes, for a whole country. And that's what is happening. And there's countries that do not have enough enough to produce electricity, etc. So they are powered by other countries around them that are producing electricity for them from fossil fuels or whatever, but they're producing more energy than what they need to give it to other countries. And you need thousand and thousand of miles of cables to get it there. And the more you have to travel distances, the more reactive power you will have, and the more transformation you will need, and that's a lot of loss. So taking this to a smaller picture, like a miniature of this strategy, if you can produce a little bit less or maybe a lot less and produce less noise and less heat, etc., you can perfectly power small parcels of your country or city, etc., and distribute efficiently that electricity without having to transform it or using reosmond transformation just to have it at its full potential. Because the closer you are to the production, the less you will have in reactive power. So starting by having microgrids is definitely a much better solution to reduce the loss in energy.
Yes, exactly. But as you said before, we right now with fossil fuel, we put the generation or the production outside the urban areas and outside the cities because it's smelly, noisy, it's polluting, and too big to be inside the cities. So off grid energy can or looks like the way to go. And in this case, we have a lot of myths to you know just to break, because the first is for me that solar energy won't be sufficient to supply the full planet in clean energy. And that's a big myth, because if you knew that 100 per 100 mile solar farm could supply the whole US in clean energy 24/7. And to store that energy, you would need a 1 per 1 mile energy storage facility made of batteries. And if we go to a bigger scale globally, to supply the world's energy need, we would take 550 kilometers by 550-kilometer square solar farm, and it will be fully sufficient to supply the whole planet in clean energy. That can seem big, but take like at the end, it's almost 3% of the Sahara Desert. So at a bigger scale, it seems like nothing. But one may ask, why don't we do this? Why don't we, like, the whole planet will rent 3% of the Sahara Desert and say, okay, right now we will install solar panels, we all do crowdfunding, and we will have clean energy for the entire planet.
Well, yes, definitely. But let me just sum this a little bit. Speaking about going back to microgrids, yes, definitely. Like anything else, you need some kind of balance between anything. If you want, more speed, you will need more energy. If you want to be energy efficient, you will have to slow down, etc., etc. And if you want to try something on microgrids, you have to reduce the power lines, and that goes on. So if you don't want to have the noise and the smells and anything that is very dangerous to people, because if you have bad smells, it's not just disturbing, it means that you are breathing very dangerous chemicals and stuff like that that are in the air, and your nose is telling you that something isn't right. You are smelling something that is not supposed to be in your body. So that's basically why you feel disturbed. So if you don't want that, definitely the way to go is off grid energy. And with off-grid energy, I'm I'm a little bit surprised by the numbers you are you are displaying here. 500 kilometers square. In your opinion, is this your opinion, or you have is this a study because honestly, it's impressive. I feel like it's impressive, but I don't feel it like it's something that is impossible, because um, from my experience, off grid, the main problems with off grid is not the energy production. It it's more on the storage side. So it's okay if you, yes, you can have 500 kilometers squares of solar panels and they will produce energy. Maybe that energy will be enough to cover uh, maybe a country, a whole country, maybe the entire United States. But what what we have to underline here is the fact that producing energy, uh, clean energy, I mean, that the energy that you produce with solar panels, with air, etc., you have to store it somewhere, because that energy is DC current, and that DC current cannot directly power your house. I mean, it could directly power your house, but it's not possible for the moment because you are used to the grid, and the grid is AC power. Well, without going into details, you need to have a full devices replacement from your fridge to your doors to anything that is electrical at your house to be running directly on DC, and that's not something feasible yet. So the only option you have right now is going through energy storage, and that's where everything is being played. The whole journey is about storing that energy, and I mean storing that electricity, and that goes into batteries. We know how to store electricity into batteries. We've been doing it for years now, and a lot of technologies are available to store energy into batteries. Um, and the most common battery is lead acid, where we basically put um, hundreds of kilograms of lead into electrolyte, and that serves as batteries. So um, using I mean, to come back to your numbers, um, yes, um, this probably is the case, but how much batteries are needed to fulfill the need of an entire country?
Well, first, I wish I could estimate all by myself the energy world's needs and make the calculations, etc. No, no, these are publicly available data, not coming from Raouf's like a board of biased statistical studies. But yeah, now I do agree with you where the problem relies on the storage, not.
Well, I'm sorry. I know you for a while now, and I know you are able to do some very crazy kind of studies. So, but it may come from the World Statistics Global Office or something, or from you. It may have the same trust from me, like everybody should.
Well, yeah, for those who don't know me, I'm a bit of a data geek, so I love playing with numbers. And yeah, so I do agree with you. The storage is the problem. And today's storage, if we took today's storage market, it's 60% lead acid batteries. And when you know that lead acid batteries, first, it's a technology that has been around for more than a century. It was invented by Volta, so it's the Volta battery, and we are still using the same principle in these lead acid batteries, but they are also inefficient and harmful for people and for nature. Would love to have your point of view on lead acid batteries because I know you're a big fan of these batteries.
Yes, a big fan. I'm so much a fan that I dedicated my life into replacing them. That's how much I love lead acid batteries. I'm literally, spending my entire days and nights and trying to find any way to replace them. Well, you know, I think if you take anybody outside, even if it's not someone that is coming from the technical field or the scientific field, and you tell them, I have a device that is running on lead, I think they will start,
Mm.
glimpsing their eyes like that, because lead is not very well known to be, something good for health or good for nature or good for anything. And it is something that we have to mine from Earth. So it's not something that we synthesize. It's an element that is naturally present in the mines, and we have to take it from Earth and transform it to make this kind of batteries. Now, um, taking the eco evangelist part outside of the equation, um, we are using lead acid batteries for more than 60 years now, and
Oh, more
today
than
we
that.
have much better. Yeah, I think it's much more than that. I'm thinking about dates, but I don't have them in mind. So I think it's at least 60 years. And today we have much better solutions. And by much better solution, I'm not only speaking about cleaner ways to use batteries and cleaner technologies for batteries, but also more efficient batteries that have a better energy density, that can store energy for um, that can last more than what lead acid is able to do today, and have basically a much better end of life. They have a higher recharging, discharging cycles, etc. But this kind of batteries are not used, and I do not honestly know why. Because let's take, for example, lithium batteries. Lithium batteries have been around in the market since also a while now, because you know laptops have been running lithium batteries since the beginning, since the first day that somebody invented a laptop. It was already running into lithium batteries, and that was like 20 years back, like probably 30 years back. Oh man, I might be a little bit old.
Well, I just to clarify to clarify something about laptops. I had my first laptop ever. I was 6 years old. It was 1989, and it was an IBM PS2, and it had a lithium battery.
It had a lithium
So
battery. So
yes.
why is everything else still powered by lead acid today? I mean, a lot of reasons might be, disturbing this, but yes, that's my opinion on lead acid. Um, Next question, please. I'm starting to be a little bit emotional about lead acid batteries. So
Like
next question, please.
PTSD. Let acid PTSD. No, well, for me, the biggest challenge is a matter of price. So, we spent before running Control Energy, we spent together almost 10 years in the energy sector, and we saw that price, especially, well, B2B or B2C, whether for like everyday's person or a professional, price matters. And today's lead acid batteries are a mature technology. They are not expensive to produce, not expensive to operate, etc., and they remain almost 70% cheaper than the lithium alternative. So that's why they are critical. Well, not critical, but they are widely adopted until now. And, if you take the energy market, you will notice that the only part where lead acid batteries are not used are the industries where it's not possible to have a lead acid battery. You can't have one inside your phone, you can't have one inside your laptop, and you can't have one inside an electric vehicle. But to get back to the comparison with lithium, I will let you, talk about the technical aspect of the energy density, etc. You have a deeper knowledge than me in this regard. But just to take the example of raw materials and mining, our lipo contains somehow less than 27 grams of lithium. To have the same energy density and the same tension and capacity in lead and lead acid, you would need almost 2.8 kilos. So it's almost 1,000 times more raw material to get the same energy storage.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely enough to raise some serious questions about the current market. Um, lead acid batteries that are also called VRLA batteries are the lead acid batteries. In comparison to lithium batteries, there's, the gap is huge. The gap is huge in many aspects. And when you compare them side by side and characteristic to characteristic, speaking only about electrical specifications, they're kind of similar, because a 12-volt battery in lead acid, or a 12-volt battery made of lithium, is a 12-volt battery. And it will also, if you have a 7 amp battery, it will also be a 7 amp battery with lithium. But where the difference and the main advantages of using lithium will be noticed is mainly on the weight, because as you are saying, on our lipos, there's like 7 grams of lithium, and the whole battery is like 100 gram or something like that. And the lead acid, the same characteristic compared to VRLA, will be like 3 kilograms. And that difference in mass, that difference in mass is also present in the volume that is used by that battery, because once again, comparing a simple lipo that is, a 12 volt 9 amp battery compared to the exact same version of the battery in VRLA is like half its shape and like tenth of its weight. And that makes a lot of sense, because where all the applications before were using VRLA batteries, you can now store twice as much batteries using lipos or using lithium. I'm sorry, I'm saying lipos because that's once again the main journey, and I've been saying lipos for the whole week, so that's why I'm saying lipos instead of
And
lithium.
soon, and
And
soon everybody will.
having, I hope so. I hope so. So once again, being able to store twice as much batteries using lithium than using lead acid batteries is also a big advantage, because you will have twice as much autonomy, and you will have twice as much energy backup, etc., etc. And also, the something that is important to speak about is the energy density. The energy density is a specification for batteries that is way underestimated, because that's the ability of a battery cell to deliver a, a certain quantity of current in the same time. And in this game, lithium is much more a leader than lead acid batteries. Why do you want to have a lot of current in the same time? Because in some applications and some critical applications, you need to start some sensitive and resistive equipments that will require a lot of current, like engines, like EVs, like electrical vehicles. I'm saying EVs because you know everyone is everyone know what's EV. And for this, you will need a battery that is able to deliver a high amount of current without overheating and without getting damaged. And that's something that lead acid batteries are not able to do. Well, do you want to know what else the lead acid batteries are not able to do? Something very important that nobody is telling you is that the lead acid batteries are absolutely unable to run without releasing gases. Yep. And I'm saying gases like polysulfamide gases that are very dangerous to health, and that is widely used. And once again, from the background, we've been, you know, supplying people in backup storage, etc., and we had no choice. And sometimes we had to deliver lead acid batteries. You haven't noticed that is coming with the supply system that is running lead acid, and it's telling you that please do not run these batteries inside an enclosed facility. And if you do that, please have fans running, because there's gases that will be released while the lead acid is running, and that gases are very dangerous to health. That's something lithium doesn't have. Lithium is, very clean. You can, run it in enclosed environments, and there will be no gases released, and it's not dangerous for health.
Yes, exactly. And you remind me this. We lived this together where we used to have some years back a client with a very weak ventilation and lead acid batteries, and the end result was like creating a mini bomb because you know the gas accumulate inside the room and it's highly flammable, and it ended up badly, and that somehow inspired us to write a blog article on our website regarding Mr. Robot and how control energy would have changed. Mr. Robot, I think season 3 ending, and you can go and check it out on our website. But you know to get back to energy storage, we talked about lead acid, lithium. Maybe we can have just an overview of the afterlife, because we have the generation, then you store the energy, you use it, etc. Your batteries, well, usually manufacturers say, okay, our batteries last for 20 years. In fact, they last more for 10 years. But then comes the afterlife. And to well, we've been
That's
batching.
marketing.
Yeah, and we've been batching lead acid batteries a lot in this webinar. But their main advantage for me today is that they are, well, their recycling rate is very high. But then if you see where they are recycled, they are often like packed into cargoes by rich countries, shipped to poor countries, and there they are recycled, sometimes in very good conditions, by professionals in you know uh, a top-notch factory, etc. Because lead is very dangerous. Like, usually it kills you, except if you are in fallout or you need to block radiation. In that case, lead is very very useful. But in other cases, it's done manually by poor people, hustling their way to make a good living by recycling, between brackets, their batteries. But what about lithium batteries?
Well, actually, yes. Once again, I cannot disagree with you. One of the main power of the lead acid batteries is definitely recyclability, and they are being recycled today. Yes, they are recycled in sometimes in very poor conditions, but um, it, lithium is not doing that good in recycling. That's the main problem, and everybody is complaining about it. But there's something important to underline once again concerning recycling. Lead acid batteries haven't been recycled, since the first day. We started recycling them only when we realized that it is a problem, and we've went to a point where lead became a problem because it was a very big need, and everyone wanted batteries, and lead acid batteries were the only batteries available at the time. So, with the growing need of batteries, also another need of recycling was growing, and that pushed people into investing into recycling and doing pilots, etc. And that is something that is not happening for lithium, because there's not that much of need expressed for lithium. People are not saying we want lithium batteries and that is something that we need and we need people to invest into recycling, etc. Well, by the way, that is something that we are doing at Control Energy, but we cannot do it efficiently. Why lithium is not being that much recycled is because, first, it's not widely used, so we do not know much about how to recycle it. And everyone is saying that lithium is the problem. Lithium is not the problem. How we handle the lithium is the problem. We need efficient way to recycle it, to put it back into the cycle and take the lithium out of it. Some today everyone is, when you check the numbers, yes, you will find that like 5% of lithium batteries are being recycled, but that number is very blurry, and when you check into the details you will find out that in that 5% of batteries only about 1% is really recycled. And that is happening because um, the recycling facilities are receiving batteries in batch, like that might be handheld tools that are running on lithium, that might be phones, that might be laptop batteries, and all these batteries have different shapes and sizes, and they are enclosed into cases that might be difficult to access. And those facilities want to recycle the lithium. They are not there to recycle the plastic or the screws, or sometimes there's ultrasonic, that they're glued with ultrasonic stuff, etc. So if it's too hard to access the lithium cells that are inside, they are directly shipped into the incinerator, and they are basically recycled into CO2. And that's another kind of problem, because that lithium was much better in nature than into your atmosphere. So you don't want it there, you want it into the nature or into your batteries, you don't want it into lung systems. So that's the main problem. And I agree with you once again on this, because if we express the same need for lithium, then for lead acid batteries, we will definitely push the things into much better ways to recycle lithium.
Yes, of course. And to get back to this difference between collected batteries to be recycled and recycled batteries effectively, I spoke to product manager in a recycling company, and the idea was purely financial. Like, he told me that the amount of extracted lithium from a very complex embodied battery, for example, a phone battery, you will spend more than 15 minutes to dismantle the battery, and more than that, than a half an hour to access the raw materials before the chemical reactions, etc., to extract almost 1 gram of lithium. So it's not financially viable for them, and it's easier in that case to just cremate the battery, burn it. So, and the 5% is already not so glorious. And when you know that among these 5%, a lot are collected, entered in the statistics as recycled batteries, but end up being burnt. And I do agree with you that the batteries, um, the recycling will grow big if the demand is growing. But that's not the only part, because right now we will go lithium and other things, love it or hate it, batteries are getting bigger, and nobody wants to have 100 miles of lead batteries in their backyard to supply energy. The other part is the financial incentive of recycling versus the cost of mining. Because right now, to be honest, mining remains more financially interesting than recycling. It's easier to go dig the planet, pollute the planet, extract fresh lithium than extract lithium from used batteries. When in fact it's a shame because if you take a lithium cell, you can extract enough raw materials to recompose 87% of a brand new battery. So we can, with improving the methods, improving all this value chain, we can go into virtuous cycle where we build new batteries from old batteries, plus a little bit of freshly mined materials.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking about something that's probably a little bit sad, but you know, I'm pretty sure that lithium will entirely replace lead acid batteries. That's not a question to ask. Do you know why? That's because um, the Earth will run out of lead. Like sooner or later, there will be no more lead on Earth. I mean, that will happen, and if we do not stop it, that will happen, sooner. And there, we will have no other choice than using lithium. So why not standing to seek for another solution to recycle the lithium and start using lithium and keep a little bit of lead into our Earth? That might be also another solution.
Yes, and if we run out of lead, it will be a big problem for me and my nuclear bunker project.
Yep, definitely. Your cave.
And another interesting number is that in 2022, lead, not lead, sorry, stop, we stopped bashing the lead, lead batteries, but lithium batteries rejected almost 24 megatons of CO2 in nature due to weak recycling and intensive mining. And this number is already big compared to other metrics, for example, cars, etc. It can seem small, but we need to take in consideration that battery adoption globally will grow by 95x by 2030. And in this 6 years now, I was about to say 10 years, but no, it's 6 years now. Lifespan, we will have this 95x. So if we still rejecting the same amount of CO2 in nature by 2030, lithium batteries will be as polluting as our full entire automotive industry today. But in addition, the cars only reject harmful and dangerous gas in nature. But lithium pollution will also pollute soil, the water, and so on. So it's somehow a global hazard ahead, and we see it coming. And we are watching the industry. Things are not evolving as it seems sometimes that people are not taking too seriously this issue in the future.
Well, but in my very own opinion, once again, the impact on the planet is surely something to be considered. But usually everyone that is in the industry, and that industry is very energy intensive and using or producing batteries, is also thinking that I will not be there when the planet will run out of lead, or when the something very bad will happen to the planet, because I'm making 2 million lead acid batteries per day, or I'm making 2 million lithium batteries per day. As you said, 24 megatons of CO2 were released into the atmosphere by lithium batteries. So you know the very big problem today is not whether you are using acid batteries, or you are using lithium batteries, because there is alternatives, like some other kind of batteries. We are talking about for years now, like graphene batteries and sodium batteries. We can speak about them later, but um, the main problem is how are these batteries handled and managed when they reach their end of life, because batteries are not eternal and they will die one day, and they will stop, keeping that energy and restoring it, because they have a limited recharging and charging cycle, and you will reach it depending on how intensive the application you are using them for. So the more intensive the application is, yeah, the more the quicker you will reach the end of life of your batteries. And as you were saying earlier about the batteries, and the producer of batteries saying that, oh, my batteries can last for 40 years. Yes, definitely you can have batteries that can last for 40 years, but they cannot last for 40 years in production. I'm speaking about the cells. You have a 12-volt battery cell. It cannot be used in production for 40 years. It can last like for 5 6 years if you are using it in a very good condition. And the very good condition used to market that battery are something that, nobody can reach, like a specific temperature, specific humidity, and specific conditions, and the very, very, very good quality of production of that, manufacturing of that battery. So, but you can definitely keep it for 40 years on the shelves.
Well, even so, I strongly doubt that you can keep a battery for that long without operations. And to get back to the 24 megatons of CO2, I did a little, calculation and to see, okay, okay, it's nice to have these like big numbers, etc. But what does it represent factually? And for example, it will represent 1,400 back and forth travel to the sun from Earth by car. And
How much? Say that again,
yeah,
please.
1,400.
I need to hear it again. Sorry.
Yeah, 1,400.
Okay.
Like, so, in case you want to come with me 1,400 times back and forth from Paris to the sun, we will pollute as much as the
Definitely
lithium
gonna do that.
industry.
Definitely gonna do. I don't want to do that on on CO2 roads, but definitely gonna do that.
And again, I compared it to the farming industry and especially to the meat industry, and I found out that it's almost like producing the weight of the Giza pyramid in beef meat.
That's
And
a very interesting, barbecue there.
well, no cows were harmed during this calculus, but to well, and regarding the off grid. So we talked about the energy storage, the afterlife, why we need to address this differently. We have a vision in Control Energy of addressing this particular topic. And in our case, our LiPo batteries are reusable, meaning that there is no more plastic around, enclosing the battery that needs to be braked, etc. You can very easily access to the cells in a LiPo battery. Why we do this? First, to help you to reuse the battery, so you can keep it for multiple cycles. You need just to replace the cells. Second, we maximize the recycling. So when you speak to a recycling company, the challenge is to break the battery to access to the cells. In the case of the lead acid batteries or the lead acid batteries, it's very easy because it's like a big plastic box with lead inside. So you just need to break the box and you extract the lead plates. For lithium, it's a different story. It's much more complex. In our case, we make this very simple, user friendly, and financially interesting for the recycling companies. Now, I would like to get back to the off grid and have your opinion on what's the best or the most efficient. It may be a bit controversial because maybe we may not agree on this one, but what's the most efficient off grid way of generating energy?
Well, solar panels. Like, let's take for example solar panels, and you know, the simplest example of this and why it's not widely adopted is that you can see people having solar panels at their houses, sometimes on apartments, etc. But if you go and ask them, nobody will tell you yes. The my solar panels are very performant, and I can run on them 24/7. The solar panels probably handle like 10 to 15, maybe 20% of their energy need, and that's because that have a lot of reasons. It might be the it might be the solar coverage. They might not have enough solar rays in that area, to have enough energy and store it. And on other hands, you will find people that have too much solar rays, and they will, recharge the batteries and they store that energy, and they cannot, spend the entire energy they are storing in their batteries because their energy need is way lower than that. Today, the energy storage on solar panels is mainly relying on, once again, I'm sorry to say it again, on lead acid batteries that are not that efficient to uh, keep keep that energy for a long time and give it back to the user. And also, people are not jumping the gap into going off grid and running on solar panels is the maintenance cost, because the batteries will die one day and they will have to replace them, and replacing that batteries have a cost. You will probably pay like 30 to 35% of the initial cost of the entire installation just to replace the batteries, and that is not negligible. That is mainly the reason why you will not make this much economical benefits on running off grid on solar panels. Third point, sorry, is the fact that if anything goes wrong with your solar panel off grid installation, you will need a professional guy, electrician that is formed and have experience into solar panels to fix your issue. And that is something that people don't want to play with because that's their energy. And you know I don't know what I'm going to do with my life if I run out of battery on my phone for like an hour. So just imagine, do not have electricity, um, like in the weekend at night, just when your favorite show on Netflix just started new season. Nobody want that. They prefer the grid because the grid is safe for the moment, and they can fix that by themselves.
Yeah, safe, but at what cost? And but would you think that solar can be the main energy source by 2030, for example?
Probably, probably. If we put enough effort on it, I definitely think that solar energy can be the off-grid solution, because everyone have solar rays reaching on them. It's not because you have a little bit of clouds, it's not because your country is a little bit gray and stuff like that that you cannot have solar panels. Let's fix this once for all. Solar panels needs UV rays.
Yeah,
They do not need light.
nor heat.
It's not because you do not have light that you do not have, yeah, or heat. But yeah, so if you don't see the solar rays, that doesn't mean that you cannot have solar panels. because the UV rays are reaching you. And if you do not have UV rays in your area, it means that you have serious vitamin D issues going with your bones. And to my knowledge, there's no area like this on Earth. Everybody's receiving UV rays.
Yes, and I do agree with you that maybe solar is really the way to go for two well versus other off grid energy sources. If we take wind energy versus solar, for example, wind energy follows a lot the old model that is to have a central point of generation depending on wind. It's true, okay, it's clean, but it can be noisy, facing a lot of backlash from people usually when you have a windmill installed in front of your house or in your backyard or even offshore when you buy a house on the beach and then you have this big windmill in front of you. You are unhappy and you want it to go away. So a lot of backlash, but for solar it's easier first because you can split the ownership, you can split the consumption, and you can pool. We see a lot of models with on-demand energy consumption, with people putting money together to have a little solar farm to supply their building in energy. And this may help the difficulty we saw for more than a decade. If you remember, when we used to pitch, for example, a company, especially when we've been operating in Africa, and if you go, for example, to Nigeria, you will see a lot of diesel generators. And if you go to a farmer and try to pitch a solar farm in replacement of a diesel generator, the answer will be, okay, but your solar energy will cost me $10,000, whereas my diesel generator costs around $1,000. So no, thank you. I don't want to spend 10 times less. And nobody seems to take in consideration the price of gas. And people just compared the instant actual cost in making this decision. With the oil price going up, with the gas price going up, maybe this can change. And again, pooling the resources to share, to co-share the solar farm can be a way to go for a better future, where you don't have only one point of generation and transported to your house through miles and miles of cables, but rather a point of generation locally, and then other sub points like a microgrid, nanogrids, and then local generation, etc. And to answer our question of the all electric planet, I think that taking care of the generation and storage like we are doing is important and very important. But we also need to think of better consumption. For example, when we go to housing,
Thank you.
yeah, housing and real estate, better insulation, because I can generate green energy if I burn it, in a stupid way to heat my apartment that is not insulated at all. Well, I'm losing around 40% of this energy that I'm paying for anyway.
Yep, yep, yep. That definitely. And that's what we were speaking about, and about the energy consumption and the types of batteries and technology, etc., is definitely what the technology can do for you. That's what the technology solutions came to fix, some kind of problems you have with your everyday and with your life, etc. But you cannot keep creating problems and wait for technology to fix them for you. As we were saying, you will always need a balance. There's a balance that needs to be respected in this case. So instead of finding new ways to store more energy and produce more energy, maybe some part of the problem, and maybe half part of the problem, is consuming a little bit more, um, smart. and manage your electricity and your consumption in a clever way, and be aware of what is consuming and what is not consuming, and when it is not consuming, and how to prevent, um, vampire energy to be running in your house and on your devices, etc. That, you know at your scale, maybe it might look like something, that is, negligible, but it is something negligible for 7 billion people that are keeping, their phones, their chargers, etc., plugged into the walls, and all these, are transformers that are consuming energy. That is something that people have to think about before finding new ways to, going off grid.
Exactly, and if the people that are watching are questioning what's vampire energy, what are you talking about? No worries. Our upcoming webinar will be all about the energy consumption and the energy conversion. So it's a good news for you because we will show you how to save money and keep your batteries safe and make them last longer. So make sure to maybe follow this channel. We are not YouTubers, so we don't have this jargon of like like and subscribe and follow the button, etc. But yeah, that's our upcoming event. And now we've been together for more than an hour.
I'm sorry, that's funny because I've never heard you saying something like that. Like, please share and subscribe is definitely something I want to hear each week.
Well, I would like to close this discussion with a kind of glance at the future and what's next. We talked about a lot of different alternatives, going checking under the carpet to see what's going on, etc. But for you, what would be um, some interesting alternative coming on in the future?
Yes. Well, all this started with a simple question asking all electric planet, and that, it when we spoke about it, it sounded like something very weird and like something that needed an answer. And thinking about it, and definitely we have an all electric planet. Everything is running on electricity, and no matter how it is generated and how it is stored, it's still electricity being coming from, turbines, coming from, thermal energy or stuff like that. It's still electricity. And about the future, we definitely need to replace some bricks on the energy chain wall to be more sustainable, because all this is about sustainability, and we need to think about sustainability, even work for sustainability. And about sustainability, you know we need to increase the interest in lithium, because right now we have it. We know the lithium, we know how it can perform. We've been using it for a decade, 2 decades now, and it have proven it can do the job. It is something that is, uh, pretty sure for today. So increasing the interest for lithium will definitely reduce the cost and also have less impact. That is something sure for the future. And the main interest in this is the reusable batteries, because yes, we are not saying that lithium is something that cannot that cannot be recycled, etc. It can be recycled. It is not recycled that much because we still do not really know how to do it, but that is something we can fix. And for that, please, makers and industrials and battery manufacturers, whatever you're doing, like any tools that is running on lithium, make your batteries a little bit more easy to access. That will help all the markets.
Exactly, and copy us and make reusable batteries. And
Yeah.
And just to get back to the recycling point, it's a bit recycling today. It's a bit barbaric. It's like you need to crush the batteries, use harmful chemicals to separate the different element, etc. You have clever ways to do it, and it's just a matter of hackers taking in charge this part and build a better solution for an existing demand. But now we spoke a lot about lithium. What's your intake on sodium and graphene batteries?
Sodium is probably the future also. Graphene is some kind of very, very versatile, and like the philosophical rock. Everybody was speaking about graphene like the next thing that everyone will need. It has this characteristics and specifications. It can store energy, it can make better electronics, and it can make smarter computers. But also everyone was saying this for the last decade, and it's not out yet. All the specialists are saying that we will need a lot more time for it to be stable, and a lot more time for it to be something you can put into the market, and to be widely used. And sodium definitely is something that is widely available on earth and not as harmful as lithium to access and to mine and to produce, etc. But I mean, we've been working on lipo for 3 years now, and we've put all our efforts to be to make a battery that is type agnostic, that is technically able to run on sodium and probably on graphene. But so far, sodium is also something that everyone is speaking about for like 3 or 4 years, and it's still not out yet. What do we have now is lithium.
Yes, yes. And what I like about sodium, well, first, what I like about graphene. Let's take things backward a bit. And what I like about the graphene is that it displays on paper
Yep.
amazing data and amazing energy density, energy conservation, etc. And if it is the case, because disclaimer, we designed our lipo bms, or the battery management system, to be chemistry agnostic. So technically we can recognize any chemistry, adapt to it, upgrade our firmware remotely to adapt to new chemistries, etc. But for months, we've been chasing all the graphene batteries manufacturers to sell us some cells to run some, on-site and operational tests. Nobody was able to sell us at any price, like even when we give like a blank check and say, okay, like give me your price and we will pay for your cells. Nobody was able. For sodium, it's a different story. We have partners that are building sodium cells, etc. What I like the most about sodium is that, first, it's abundant. Unlike lithium, it's abundant and it's easily accessible on our planet. Well, needs some transformation, but still, you don't need to dig that deep to extract sodium from Earth. Second, it looks quite stable, I should say. Now, to see how much it is recyclable, how much you can recover out of a recycled cell to build a new cell, etc., I think time will tell. It's too soon to say.
There's some very what I've seen is there's some very in smart and clever ways people have found out to produce energy. We have been speaking about solar panels and wind power, etc. But people are trying to find replacement to this and trying to explore some very outstanding engineering to produce energy. Have you heard about the gravitational energy? That definitely sounds like something out of Star Trek or Star Wars or something like that. That's not used to power spaceships or stuff like that. That's also another way to turn a turbine and produce electricity, but it's based on gravitational force. So some people, some very smart people found out that um, you can attach some very heavy weight and just let them free fall on a certain distance, and while they're falling they are turning a turbine, and that makes energy. Isn't that genius?
Yeah, it's especially it's a way that I truly like, especially that it allows you to have a lot of engineering ingenuity, because you can take advantage of the gravity in pulling down. Usually what happens is that during daylight the solar panels will, pull the weight up, and during the night you let it fall, and you do this continuously to generate energy. It's a nice way, and you can do a lot with it. And if I had to choose, I would rather, take this one, and not the laser beam, the kind of low orbit concentrating solar rays and then shooting a solar beam into a receiver on Earth, etc. That seems frightening to me. If the laser beam misses the target, it can end up in a big damage. So if I had to select between these two solutions, I'll go with the gravitational one.
See
Well,
you.
yeah, we've been together for almost an hour and 20 minutes. Think it's time to wrap up. If you have any
All right.
questions, please ask them in the the chat of the live stream, in our Slack channel if you are in our Slack channel, or ping me on WhatsApp if you are on WhatsApp.
And if you're hearing this, watching this on YouTube, and you are not on our Slack channel, it's down on the description. I've been waiting my whole life to say that one day. All right. Do we have questions?
I think we have one on our Slack, which is you've been talking a lot about solar and off grid. What about nuclear energy? And why not talking about nuclear energy?
Well, I don't know if this person have been here from the beginning of the webinar, but uh, we've been saying that lead wasn't that healthier for your body. So just imagine going out and telling people that you have a device running on nuclear energy. Well, but more down to earth, nuclear energy is also just another way to generate heat that is after that used to heat water, generating steam, high pressure steam that is pushing on a turbine and also generating electricity. So that's just another way to fix a classic problem that is still turning a turbine to generate electricity. Still doesn't change anything to the problem, mainly.
Personally, I can be a big believer in nuclear fusion in the future, but not in the nuclear fission as we are doing it today. At the end, it's just mimicking the fossil fuel methodology to generate energy, except that, rather than polluting the atmosphere with rejections, we are polluting water, because when you heat up water to produce steam using nuclear reaction, you pollute this water and it becomes radioactive water. And you saw this, if everything goes at best, and if everything goes well, it's a very harmful hazardous waste that you need to manage. Now if things goes wrong, like we had in Japan some years back, now it's another story, because the under control harmful waste becomes publicly available.
Definitely.
So Well, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for people who have been following us since the beginning. We had a little bet with Outland. He told me like we won't be over 10 in the stream, and we went over 10 for almost all the streams. So now he needs to fulfill one trend on TikTok, and I asked him to do the melted lithium bucket challenge.
I was pretty sure that we will not hit 10 people. All right, I'll do it, but that will definitely be my last challenge.
Yeah. That was very nice to have you as a co-founder and a
Thank
friend
you.
for all
Yep.
these years. Thanks everyone to follow this first webinar. I hope you like this format. To know more, check Lepo or Lipo Lepo dot tech and join our community because we are on a journey to build the applications and the next energy revolution, and we want to do it with you, with the people. Like if we have a great tech and you will see it in the upcoming days, but if we had a great tech that nobody want to use because we used it for stupid applications, that would be a shame. And yeah, so just go to lepo.tech, join the community, stay tuned for more, and thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.